Welcome back to the Dr. Rob Show. I'm Carolyn Melillo, and joining me is Sue Sullivan. Sue's son Danny struggles with autism. With all of her attention on helping Danny, she forgot about the most important thing, to take care of herself. So Sue, how did you like this whole experience?
Oh, it was fantastic.
It was fantastic. Now,
I felt like I was winning a beauty pageant.
Oh, well, you're so beautiful. You probably would win. What was your normal go-to outfit when you would leave the house?
Jeans or sweats, t-shirt,
Okay.
sneakers.
No.
Especially things that flip-flops.
Okay, flip-flops are okay. I mean, those are okay, but we now found leggings, which I have to say have this beautiful leather detail, and I believe when I first picked them up, you giggled a little bit, and what did you think when you saw them?
I thought, oh boy.
Not something you would normally
Correct.
choose, and yet, do they not feel like a pair of sweatpants?
They are so comfortable.
So-
So comfortable, easy, breezy, on, off, done, go, ready,
Right.
and I look good.
And you look beautiful. We have a little bit of color. We have a jacket, which is something you can just throw on with a pair of jeans, just like a sweatshirt. We got same thing with this sweater, a little bit of color, things to throw on. Everything goes together. Everything could be mixed and matched. These pants at H&M were originally $40 down to $9.99. Right now, you can shop at Target, you can shop at Old Navy. Everything is fashionable. We put together an entire wardrobe for you for under $250, which is about $20 a month if you wanted to think about yourself for once and go out shopping. And how do you like your makeup?
It was really easy. I love it. I really love it.
And how long did it take?
I know, less than a few minutes.
Less than a few minutes.
How did I not do it before?
Right, and you know, it's just a little pick-me-up. When you look like you care, other people notice, and it makes a difference. And your kids say, hey, Mom, you look beautiful, and you feel a little better starting your day, right?
Definitely.
So do you think this is something now you'll go to, and do you think this is easy? And
Oh, definitely, yes. And it's comfortable. That's not just easy. It's great to just throw on and go. I can't say thank you enough. It's just wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Well, you were a perfect model, and we will join Rob after the break and talk about her son's behavioral disorders have improved since going to Brain Balance. So thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. Rob Melillo, and I'm joined by very attractive Sue Sullivan. Sue's son Danny struggled with autism. What most people don't do is really understand what the brain is and how it develops. And what most people don't realize is that when we're born, we don't really have a brain. We only have about 25% of our brain there when we're born. But yet, in the first 3 years, it'll go from 25% to 90% of the adult size. So there's this explosion of growth. And what's happening is primarily we're building connections in the brain, and especially connections between the two sides of the brain. Now, the way that the brain grows, though, is it needs to be stimulated to grow. How does it grow? It grows mainly because of movement, because as the baby starts to move, it actually stimulates the brain and also engages our senses, which then further stimulate the brain, and that causes it to develop. So how do we move when we don't have a brain to move us? In our brainstem, we're born with things called primitive reflexes or infantile reflexes. And these reflexes allow the baby to initially breastfeed, grab on, roll over, crawl, and eventually to get up and start walking. And so what we know is that many of the children that we work with have problems in those early motor milestones. And that's one of the earliest signs for parents if their child has a brain imbalance is, did they meet those milestones? Did they crawl normally? It's very, very important. So what we see is that these reflexes need to go away so that the brain can develop, and most of the children that we deal with still have a lot of these primitive reflexes, which means that their brain didn't develop. And during that early 2 to 3 year window is really when the right brain is developing. So with that in mind, we want to thank Sue for being here and talk to you about your son Danny and talk about his specific issues. So tell us about Danny, about his diagnosis, when you found out and what you did early on.
Basically, after about a year, we started to notice some delays. Things just weren't he's our second son, so just weren't matching up to what we had seen previously with our first. By 15 months, we went ahead and brought it to the pediatrician's attention, and they kind of just brushed us off.
Right.
He's number 2, he's a boy, give him
Right.
time, etc. So at that point, we waited it out. 18 months rolled around, same thing, his verbal skills continued to regress, and he started to get sick a lot. Strep throat, at this point he already had ear tubes, more infections ensued after that, bronchitis.
You said that he had digestive issues as well early on.
Yes, he was
constipation, things like that.
very colicky, and not the typical colic. It lasted for almost a year with just issues, uncomfortable all the time, gas issues all the time.
And that's important because we know that especially in autism, that it's almost always associated with problems with the gut and with the immune system. And for years, people thought it was just coincidental. Now we know it's actually part of the problem. And really, these problems start in the brain, which very few people, almost no doctors actually know or understand.
So when they finally agreed with us to pursue early intervention, they came out and said, dropped the bomb of, we think he's autistic. From that point forward, we dove in head first, trying to find right doctors, right therapies, fighting for our lives to get him some kind of treatment plan, basically.
And I think it's important to know that you're a surgical nurse, so you have a lot of medical knowledge yourself. You have a lot of access to doctors and medical information, and so you're not the run-of-the-mill mom, but were you given any answers? Did you have any idea what actually autism was in the brain?
No.
None whatsoever?
No.
So we know that you had told me that you did some genetic testing down the road, and what did you find out?
That he didn't have any of the typical problems or DNA that would flash up and say.
So there was no gene mutation or anything like that.
Correct.
Which again, a lot of people are told that these are genetic mutations, there's nothing you can do about it, and they're not told anything of what's actually happening in the brain. And that's exactly what happened to you, but you found out it wasn't genetic, and that gave you some hope. So
Absolutely.
what we should know is that most people don't have these genetic issues. So you did a lot of different interventions, and some of the things helped. Nothing really made a big dramatic problem, but especially Danny was really struggling with speech, with verbal language and nonverbal language.
Correct.
So how did you find out about brain balance?
After going through so many different programs, and the most recent one that we had been involved in was ready to discharge him. And we felt that he really hadn't been helped at all. He still wasn't speaking well. He still wasn't cognitively aware of what was going on around him.
Right.
I just started plugging in help and autism and pretty much programs, therapies, etc. Brain Balance popped up, and it's literally down the road from us, so we're so very lucky to have you so close.
How has the program helped you where other programs or interventions hasn't helped? What are some of the most dramatic things? When they went there, what was one of the first things they told you that really surprised you?
Basically that it was a holistic program. One, it wasn't just focusing on his speech. It just wasn't focusing on his behavior. It was putting all those things together and taking it forward from that point.
And they told you that he had these primitive reflexes, which shocked you, right?
Oh man, when they sat us down and said every single one of the primitive reflexes were still intact and full throttle in Danny, all I could think of was, how is that possible?
Right, and it's important to know that that is actually supposed to be part of a textbook pediatric neurology exam. So these are things that typically should be done. So you were able to get some answers. So what were some of the changes that you saw?
He was much more engaging, much more able to put sentences together. It wasn't just one-word responses anymore. I was getting, my shoes are in the basement. All right, okay, I didn't know that could come out of your mouth, and it was just a newer kid. It was there all along, but stuck, and it was finally coming out.
Right, so that must have made you feel unbelievable, and I'm sure your husband was very happy.
Yes.
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 So, I think the main message we want to get across is that many parents are under the belief that there's not much that can be done. They're told that there's really not a lot of hope. And you're here as a message of hope to those people to show that things can change, things can get better. Even with a diagnosis of autism, there can be significant improvement.
Absolutely. It's work from you guys, it's work from us, and with that team effort, it's just winning for Danny, and we can't thank you guys enough.
Oh, well, you know, like I said, it's important that it's not just about brain balance and what we do. It's important that parents know that there are many different programs out there that can be helpful and really can move forward, and there is hope. So thank you very much, and thank you for Danny.
Thank you.
Because coming up next, what we're going to do is speak with Carolyn, and I'll be headed into the kitchen with delicious meals with vegan chef Deb Finneran. We'll be right back. Come back soon.